When I started to look into doing a podcast, I knew I had a lot to share and say, and I wanted to do it in an audio format. I was a little intimidated, not going to lie, about how I was going to go about recording and editing and distributing and all those things because technology is not my strong suit. Naturally, I can learn things. And so when I started to take webinars and ask questions on Facebook and other platforms, I decided that Anchor was the best way to go. It's been a bit of a one-stop shop for me. I can record all of my episodes, I can edit them. It's been really nice because it's free. And when I started to do a podcast, it was, okay, how am I going to rebuild my practice? I had to close my practice down because of COVID, federal mandate. So how was I going to rebuild things? How was I going to give myself something to do? Because this defines me. What I do, it defines me. So I really needed an outlet, and the budget was like nothing. So having this free option has been great. I am recording on my laptop, but I can also record on my phone if I decide that's a way to go, or maybe I don't have my laptop on me. And so that's pretty exciting to know I can do it from there too. They also take and distribute to various apps for people to listen on, which again, that is taking one stressor away from me so I can focus on my content. And if it's something you'd like to do, if you have something you'd like to say, I can't recommend it enough for somebody who's a newbie and starting out. And I feel like even if I wasn't, new at this, it's been something I've been doing for a while, I would still like this platform because of the ease of everything. So if it is something you'd like to look into, you can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm. That's ANCHOR.fm to get started. Welcome to the Infinite Dance. I'm your host, Carrie Arata. This episode is an energetic update for April 2021. It's Aries season. We are in the middle of Aries season. Happy birthday to all my Aries out there. My fellow Aries, I should say. And so when I do energetic updates, just so you know, it's a channeled message. And so I'm given guides and visuals and pieces of information, and sometimes given scenarios to help connect how we're interacting with what's going on. And I know it's been really, really intense lately. It's like here we are a little over a year into the pandemic, and we're still in masks, we're making some steps forward. We're not in such high tiers of isolation. We can maneuver about with each other a little bit more. And I know a lot of people are getting vaccinated, so that makes a lot of people feel a lot safer to interact around each other. And we're still being kind of given this opportunity of, okay, how are we going to look into how we get to interact with each other now that we have all this kind of newfound information, or maybe it's old information, but we're processing it differently than we had before. And I'm talking about a lot of personal growth work. So let's go ahead and get into the vision. The first image I was given was a rainbow, like a full, rainbow end to end, and it kept flashing, kind of like a neon sign. And the message with that was, remember what comes after the storm. So it's like, okay, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. You can get a rainbow after the storm. And then archangels Ramiel, Raziel, and Shamuel came to say, we're here to help with this transition and help with anything that's going on in regards to Ramiel helps us with revisiting the past and recognizing the patterns that have come over our lifetimes and how to transmute them. Information on how to do all that. Archangel Raziel helps with understanding information from the higher realm and anything that has to do with quantum physics and alchemy. How you can access it easier, and also helping to uncover secrets that maybe that didn't come out before. You didn't know the full story. Archangel Shamuel helps us come from the heart space and brings peace where there might have been pain before. And also to do all this while we're staying true to ourselves. I think that's really important. I was all of a sudden guided. So after I saw the archangels, I was all of a sudden guided to move my chest side to side. And I was then moving it in a way where my chest was making a figure 8. And all of my fellow belly dancers or past belly dancers will understand this movement that we all know too well. So it's kind of like pulling up on one side, like say your right side, we pull up towards the ceiling or the sky, and then you kind of push it over towards the other side, and then you repeat it. So you're making like a figure 8. And of course, that's the sign of infinity. So to remind us too that it always has been and will be about love and coming from the heart. And also that movement is medicine, and that really can help with all things heart, anatomical heart, not just how we're feeling towards other people, love, and things like that. And then we got lots of guidance this time. We have Arcturian guidance. So it was an Arcturian elder female, and knowing from being unbiased, stepping back so that we can see our inner knowledge, kind of having that inner knowing, it gives you a sense of peace. And this particular Arcturian elder female kept smiling, and I kept seeing her eyes, and she just has this look of, I'm calm. I'm happy from this place of all is well, I'm really at peace. And then the Pleiadians came, and their message is to take this knowledge and share and teach with others, which is very much a Pleiadian trait, if that is a soul origin that you're, or starseed that you're connected with. To take then that knowledge, that inner knowledge of knowing, of stepping back and being able to apply it to self and others. And a Pleiadian male elder came, and his eyes stood out. He had longer hair, gray flaxen but thick. It wasn't, even though he was an elder, it wasn't like thin, but it was thicker, and he had sparkly. So like they weren't necessarily, he was at peace, but in a different way. And it was this sparkly like clarity, and they were like this gray green to his eyes. That was really interesting. And then I got a vision of, or what I was told was Ashtar Command. And now Ashtar Command, a lot of people channel Ashtar Command, and it's a galactic group or person, or entity, I should say, excuse me. And I connected more. The first message, by the way, that came when I saw what I would call Ashtar Command was traveling back. Okay, traveling back, and it was like going up. People were kind of scurrying and going back up this hill, but it looked like a chute, so like a slide almost. But it wasn't a slide, but that's what it looked like. And when I started kind of delving into, because I had to do a little bit of research, because I'm like, okay, I'm not really feeling Ashtar Command, the galactic entity so much. Although, if that's something you deeply connect with and you have channeled Ashtar in this way, then most definitely, because I feel like there's a bit of taking hold of, taking control, taking the reins, and also the name Ashtar can mean one whose eyelashes are curled backwards. And that's one way of seeing Ashtar. And so seeing and coming from and going back to our past, and kind of rewinding or redoing it to, in a sense, but having control, taking the reins. So you're not like, you know, going back to something and getting into the deep despair of it or the pain of it. It's like, how are you going to transmute it? Because we're all experiencing a bit of a lifetime review, dark nights of ego. A lot of people say dark nights of the soul, dark nights of ego, soul, transmuting this deep generational patterns that we just have had in our faces right now. We're at home with everybody, we're with each other, and we're reconnecting with family in a more intimate way than we thought we would, right? In a lifetime. And so we see how they get to play out in the present as opposed to going back, because we know how things felt from a past interaction or the patterns that we've seen. So how are they playing out now in the present to end the cycles of abuse and trauma and oppression? So there's a lot of guidance coming in, and there's a lot of movement. Hello, movement is medicine. That rainbow is flashing, which is very Aries movement. Let's kind of get going a little bit, right? We are in spring, so we get to kind of wake up and open up a little bit. Towards the end of the meditation on the energetic update for the collective, I was shown an instance that I had just gone through. I had gotten my hair cut and styled about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I can't remember now. And I wanted some layers done, like a little bit more defined layers. And I had the total COVID hair where it had pretty much grown out, long layers. And my hair's long and it parts to one side. And so I said, I'd like some like shorter layers, just have a little more variation to my hair at this point, just something a little newer. And so she, shampooed it like normal. And when she went to style it, I could kind of tell the front was still a little bit long. So I said, can we make sure those layers are a little bit shorter? And she said, okay. She kind of kept saying how much hair I had. And I'm like, yeah, I have a lot of hair, but I don't think I have the most hair of anybody. You've probably been across, had to work on their hair. But so I wasn't sure why she kept saying that. But it was like a lot more than I've heard. Usually people say, oh, your hair's pretty. Stuff you want to hear when somebody's got a sharp object by your head, like you have a lot of hair. I don't know. It was just a little much. So anyway, she went to style it and she curled it, and I hadn't had my hair curled and it was really nice, and I left. And like however many days later, 3 days later, I, washed it and went to style it, and my hair was the layers were really choppy, and it even looked dry. And I'm like, wow, how come my hair looks so dry? Because I really don't put much in it besides maybe a serum. And, I don't wash it a ton. I mean, I wash it like probably 3 times a week.
So it's not like my hair's getting overly dried, but it was the uneven layers. And so she said, if something isn't to your liking, you're welcome to come back. So I did that. I made another appointment and I went back, and she did everything again. I wasn't sure, if she was just going to spray it down, get a little wet and kind of clean up the layers. She shampooed my hair and recut it. And she did a completely different cut. Like the way she went about cutting my hair was completely different. And so I thought, this is so interesting, that it's just so different. And she's like, I'm happy to do this. No problem. And I was like, very grateful. And she styled it, and she styled it straight. So we kind of see, everything, how it laid. And I was happy and everything was fine. And again, I got home though, and I noticed that one side that, because my hair part's on the side, really didn't have much layers to it. And I thought, and I heard disconnect. When I was leaving the salon that second time, I heard disconnect. And I thought, this is interesting. Wonder, we're just not connecting like the way she's listening, the way maybe I'm speaking, the way I'm communicating what I needed. For some reason, we were disconnecting. It's like we were both trying. Like I was trying to tell her what I needed. She was trying to give me, this haircut that I wanted, but it just wasn't coming together. And in energetic space, so when I started kind of seeing an energetic interaction between her and I, there was this exchange of, we got this life. Like we kind of looked at each other like, we got this life. It was really interesting. And we're both okay. And then I heard, I'm okay, you're okay. And that reminded me of, there's a self-help book in the 70s called I'm Okay, You're Okay. And that book, the author, Thomas Anthony Harris, went into this type of analysis that helps you learn how to move away from patterns passed down or brought through, generations, parent, child scenario. And I thought, that's interesting. So maybe her and I were coming from, I'm not getting what I want from this situation. And then she's like, well, maybe, and of course I haven't asked her this, but I'm going from energetic of where this is coming from and why I'm getting shown it, doing an energetic update for the collective, that that she wasn't able to, for it not to be enough. A lot of times with a parent-child dynamic, it's like, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not whatever it is enough, right? And you feel like, gosh, am I letting this person down? And that can go both ways, right? Am I not parenting enough? Anyway, so that whole dynamic came in. And, I think a lot of times too, here we are in Aries season, and Aries can represent a bit of, it's the first sign of the zodiac. There's a bit of a childlike wonder that can come with Aries energy and a bit of naivete. So I think the scenario and what it kind of was pointing to really kind of rings true for what we're all going through. We're kind of all going back to this. How am I redoing this past and childhood traumas and how I felt as a child, right? Because it triggers you back to how you feel. That's what it triggers. You get, I feel that way. I'm feeling that pain. I'm feeling that sorrow. I'm feeling that anger. I'm feeling that frustration, whatever it is, right? You get pushed back or reminded of how you felt in a given scenario into our past, and trying to really transmute that. And, we have all this assistance of all of our guides and all of, each other going through it. So it's not like one person is going through it and the other person really isn't. Like everybody's feeling this. Every person's feeling some level of patterns coming up. Again, we're doing a review. We're doing a dark night, of okay, let's sit with this for a minute so I can get past it, because I don't want it to come back around again. I don't want to just shove it under a rug or shove it under my busy schedule or my busy social life or my kids' activities, right? Because the kids are doing like a bajillion things these days. And I mean, I thought I was busy as a kid, dancing and siblings doing sports, and I did sports, but it was like one thing at a time. Oh, you're dancing, you're dancing. You're doing a sport, you're doing a sport. That was kind of, they were separate. But anyway, so we can't, we're not shoving it under a rug or suppressing it. So we've got some good stuff. We got the rainbows coming through, and coming from a sense of inner peace and really finding ways to gain that inner peace and finding what feels like sunshine, finding your thing that makes you feel good, so you can continue on this path and continue delving and showing up for yourselves and others, because that's why we're all here, to do all that. So this is your energetic update for April 2021, Aries season, and I look forward to being here with you next Tuesday. If you are so inclined, I do accept listener support. There are buttons depending on which platform you're on. I also have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/The Infinite Dance. When you go to the Patreon, you also get bonus episodes, Akashic guided meditations that you have access to. So that's another way to support, and you get more than just this one episode through that. I have a Facebook community called The Infinite Dance, and you're welcome to be there. It's a nice space to just have to interact with others in a nice, safe environment. If you would like a private reading, you can reach me at ancientbodyworks.co. And every Wednesday morning, I do an Akashic guided meditation at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that's through Zoom. So if you reach out to me and give me your email, I can send you a Zoom link for that. And continue to stay true to yourself and keep peeling back those layers and continue to ask yourselves and others, may I have this dance?